We were just discussing, you had watched my YouTube videos for over a year, right? And there's kind of a variety, right? Because I have binge eaters that I work with, bulimics. I also have anorexic clients, and I have everybody in between. So we were talking. We've been working together now for
Probably 6 weeks or so.
Yeah. And it's been a process. It's been a process. And it's taken layers of work, don't you agree? Layers of experimentation is a better word, because this whole thing is experimental. I give you, you basically are where you're at when you come to see me. And then wouldn't you agree that I position you, remember that first session, I position you, relieve the body image, follow hunger rhythm, see what happens to your impulses, right? Immediately you get that sense of freedom and that euphoria. And usually what happens is the need for body image for many people, the need for that weight loss or need to defend their thinness, wherever they are on the spectrum, can come back, right? And so wouldn't you agree that there is a process of understanding the cause, right? The cause of the eating disorder, which is body image, and the lack of grace around it.
Yes.
So
those are the two things that need to be present.
Okay, now you're saying that today with your own awareness. It's not just me guiding you there, is it?
No, not at all. I was just saying that, my expectation of myself, not of you, was that I was gonna have the instantaneous shift, and instead it's been little shifts, learning, step back, step forward. There's been a lot of steps that have had to occur for me to get to a place where I'm starting to really feel free at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm. Well, and you had said when you first worked with me, you were expecting to have this instantaneous mega shift, right?
Yep.
You could say
it was going to be solved in the snap of a finger, and everything was going to be
amazing. Yeah.
Yep.
And I had said to you, hold on a second. Usually when people watch my videos, they can see these people and to be honest with you, there have been videos with you and I where you have had a shift, and we're talking about that shift.
For sure.
And someone who's watching from the outside is going to go, oh, I want that shift. And they don't necessarily have a reference to compare themselves and what that shift is. They just hear you have a shift, right? You have this amazing epiphany or awareness that has changed your sense of the food and environments, but they don't necessarily see or hear how you go in and out of that, right? Because we could say our first session is very pivotal for many people, because it's the first time that they get a sense of that freedom, like, wow, what it feels like to have access to what unconditional love is. You had that. Everybody does. That's my main goal in those sessions, is to get you to see, to get rid of some of the major hookups in terms of how to forgive others, to forgive the past, to forgive yourself, and then to just even pretend, what would life be if there was no need to lose weight?
Right.
And you get this like, oh my God, but it's not necessarily an intrinsic decision and an internally decided freedom.
Right.
Because that requires that you permanently never again try to lose weight. Right? So you might temporarily say, yes, I'm giving myself this incredible freedom and sense of love. Right? I will love my body for now. And then there's a moment, right, where you're like, but I need to lose this weight. For you, it was your friend that said, I'm going to do a sugar detox. And you're like, yes, I'm going to do it.
Right, yeah, last week that's what it was.
Quick. And you can see how quickly you go right back into that space of that sharp, intense shame, judgment, perfectionism, fixing. It's intense, right? Then we pull you back out.
Yes.
and you can see, once you go back into that, you can see that very clearly that the eating disorder is there only because of the pressure to fix the body.
Yes.
Right? And this judgment, with lack of lenience within the food. Okay? So and you can see it and you're like, wow, there's a definite connection. If I want that freedom from the insanity of the diet, fixing it, judgment, shame, starvation, binging. If you want freedom from that, you could see that there is a direct cause with the need to lose weight or fix your weight gain, or to keep your weight losses, right? Defending the losses. So this week, you got a sense of that. We said, go back to eating to hunger, and you are to give yourself a ton of grace. Nothing is perfect. You give yourself the learning curve. And this week you had a very similar experience with, it was different. In what way?
Well, I had, are you referencing getting on the scale?
Yes. So you had a difference.
So I got on the scale just, as you put it, out of curiosity, and I gained a pound.
Hold on, but that curiosity was because you honestly felt like your body was changing, right?
Yes.
And I warn everybody, hey, when you lose weight, that's a very big vulnerability, because you're going to think, ooh, it's working, right? That's the old mentality immediately going, I'm losing weight. There's this weird sense about, oh, I've been eating so well, right? Let's check it. I just want to see what's going on. So you weighed yourself and you had gained a pound.
I did, and I had gained a pound and immediately went into life or death scenario. But, you know, a life or death situation.
Over 1 pound.
Over 1 pound. Okay, now I need to fix this, and immediately in my head, it was like a computer screen that came up with my to-do list of everything that needed to happen for me to fix this.
After you binge, right? Remember, it was after the binge, because you were going to binge as soon as you saw that. Remember, you were like,
that was part of the plan, absolutely, but it never occurred. But it took me, it did take me hours before I started thinking, okay, this is not rational thinking or the thinking of a reasonable person. This is crazy, and there is nothing wrong with with having gained 1 pound, because it actually doesn't mean anything at all. It's a number, and it doesn't have anything to do with what I'm how I live my life or anything. So,
yeah, and I had said the assumption too is that it's a pound of body fat, which is so exposing the brainwashing of the diet culture.
Yes.
Right. So those people who are listening to this video are like, oh my God, you gained a pound? How do you even do this? Right? Because the brainwashing is telling you that this is a pound of fat. Whereas the intellect and the knowledge of someone who's been educated would say, oh, well, the body goes up 3 to 4 pounds a day in fluid and waste and water retention. By the time you wake up in the morning, you've been dehydrated. You should be less in weight no matter what you do. Right?
Well, and
so
by
it's
the time
weird.
I was in it, my 1 pound, because of how the life or death situation that that my mind put myself in, is that my 1 pound was no different than the 50 that I needed to lose immediately.
Yeah, that's brainwashing.
It was 1 pound to 50 immediately.
Yeah, because it's an emotional problem. It's not an actual physical problem. If we look at that 1 pound, I could say, hey, I gained 3 pounds. Why is it that I didn't have the same fury, right? Because I used to think I was going to die. I would exercise for hours if there was any fluctuation. Anyway, so you actually stepped back and saw, first of all, the weight, the feeling bad about it, the impulses to binge because you decided I'm just going to eat really little tomorrow, and you could see it now very differently because you were outside of it.
Yes.
So all of a sudden, because you're not inside taking all of this stuff credible and just going with it, you have the ability to say, hold on a second, my weight, the impulse to fix it, the impulse to binge, then you were like, hold on.
Right, crazy person.
Let's go to the beginning.
Yes.
I don't need to fix that pound. That pound shouldn't create this. I'm not going to defend that. Which immediately, notice what happens to the binging impulse.
Yes, everything went away.
Just poof. Poof gone.
Yes.
Okay. You were capable, that witness, right? The ability to witness that and to witness how simple the resolution is, right? I said to you, the resolution is so simple. It's like a drop of love can completely disintegrate a massive skyrise of hate. It's like this tiny drop of compassion and love and grace for yourself can just dissolve this insane self-mutilation, doesn't it?
Yes. Yep.
So with that said, this is not, it is a snap of the finger in these moments.
In these moments, absolutely. But I think I feel that I get more out of these experiences to get to the snap, because I know next time, because there's going to be a next time, it won't take me as long to get out of it until eventually there is until there is no reaction. And maybe next time there won't be a reaction. I don't really know. But I have to expect that, I don't know that the crazy's gone with the snap of the finger, but I know I've made a lot, there's a lot of changes in me.
Yeah, and there has to be a process. You have to give yourself a process of learning. So there is a learning curve. So there's and the learning curve can only be curved, meaning you can accelerate this process if there's grace. Do you see this now? That it's like we can say you have to detach from body image as being, the body image cannot be included in your sense of worth.
No, not at all.
Makes total sense now, doesn't it? Then with that, you no longer have this judgment, shame, pressure, guilt, criticism around food.
Right.
And with that, you no longer have the shame and the guilt that goes into binging.
Right.
And there's no fixing it. So you see how it's like ding, 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 right?
Yes.
And what you're learning is all of this goes away. You're noticing, so through this trial and error, what is happening is you are noticing how the entire thing is based on this body image, shame, guilt, and perfectionism, and wanting to prove yourself through body and create a value through body image. So what is now happening to this? What happens then to the blame of the food being the narcotic trigger?
Well, that blame goes away.
Yeah, it doesn't make, it's like, why would you even do that? How enabling is that? Can you see that?
Right.
Yeah, so there's certain things that are like, don't even waste your time with that. Don't waste your time.
Right.
Don't waste your energy. Don't waste your effort, because that's so superficial and such a tiny little detail of the consequence. Do you see that?
Yes.
That is not a cause. That's a consequence that if you decide it's a cause, you're never going to get anywhere.
Yes.
Okay. So what you're doing is you're getting rid of all these little things, and it will happen faster as you address the body image. So the moment you decide, I would rather just stay this way, I'd rather gain 20 pounds than to go back into this insane, detrimental, negative, shameful, vicious cycle, right? So what you're doing is you're cutting away all these little triggers that go into body image. Does that make sense? So as soon as you encapsulate the body image and there's no way out of it, there's no justification, you're in this body image, you're left with what you have and the fear of gaining more. And that's all you have left. And that moment when you realize, and with this is my freedom. I don't need to change it. If I don't have to change this, if I don't have to fix this, I am completely free of all of these triggers and all of the consequences and their triggers and consequences.
Yes.
So what you're doing is you're on a learning curve, and the moment you have this awareness that the body image is the true foundation of the psychological problems here, what happens to your learning curve?
It's gone.
Well, it's like,
I mean,
woo, it's over.
Right.
Yeah. So the process for everybody is unique to where they're at in terms of willingness. There's a will, right? The will to let go of body image, no matter where you're at on this spectrum of thinness, overweightness, obesityness, morbid obesity, whatever it is.
Right.
Wherever you're at in terms of willingness to surrender the body image as your security and safety or threat, the learning curve is literally doesn't exist anymore.
Right.
Because you've got to have a learning curve to get there. Wouldn't you agree?
Yes, absolutely.
And everybody's different.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's different. Everybody who I videotape with, unique to where they're at when they come to see me, and where they're at to when are they willing to surrender this. Some people come to me and they are literally suicidal.
Right.
And other people come to me and they are done, but they are not quite sure if they're done with the weight loss. Some people come to me and they know they're done with the illness, but they still want the body image. So they want the best of everything. And and they have to come to their own grip around the fact that you can't have this without this damage.
Right.
You can't have the euphoria and the grandeur of my thin, healthy body, right? You can't have that without this, because the ego involved requires all of this defensiveness, all of this judgment, all of this shame, guilt, justification, all the work around justifying and rationalizing behavior that you criticize, right? There's no grace in that insanity. So if you want the ego, get ready for suffering.
Right.
There's no judgment in that. There's no judgment. Because it's a process of learning. It's a process of being aware. And here's what I said to you earlier as well. And then we'll stop recording because I got another client waiting for me. Is that what you're learning in the dismantling of this is how you're going to prevent this occurring in other areas.
Yes.
The amount of, wouldn't you agree at this point? The humility this requires. There's so much humility. It is so important that you stay humble.
Yes.
The grace, the amount of I use the word, you have to be your own advocate, not the advocate of the ego, an advocate of the desire and want and work hard and you can get there. That's not what this is.
Right.
Do you hear how messed up, or that's suffering? That's literally an equation of suffering. What this is give yourself love. You didn't ruin anything with those chocolate kisses. They're not bad. You're okay. If you didn't ruin anything, and that 1 pound of fluid retention and whatever that was, that's not worthy of you feeling bad about either. So do you see how you're giving yourself love and grace, and you're giving yourself so much cushion from these social judgments and you're giving yourself grace from this brainwashing is what you're doing.
Yes.
And as you do that, you'll notice the freedom and the learning curve process improves. So without grace, there's very little growth.
Right.
So you're giving yourself this love and this grace, and that's what it requires to not gain another attachment.
Yes.
Yeah. So what you're doing to dismantle this is giving you an awareness of not how to recreate it.
Right.
So you're less likely to transfer the survival need to something else. So you're giving yourself a sense of safety and security without conditions now. So once you realize this and you have completely ended, right, this need for body image, and you've done it through grace and love, you should feel fulfilled. You should feel whole. You should feel safe. You should feel like all those needs have been met. And why would you go right back into survival with something new?
Right.
That means you have to be judgmental with something new. You have to be egotistical about something new. You have to be pretentious
Right.
about something new. You have to put yourself above others with something new. Why would you do that again, knowing the suffering
Right.
that it created with other things? So
Mhm.
it's worth
Yes.
taking your time. It's worth giving yourself the grace of time
Mhm.
and experimentation.
Yes. Yep.
Do you have anything to say before I close this video out?
Probably just anyone who would think that it's instant is there's just a lot of instant moments along the way, and that grace is by far the humility and grace that it takes every day is the way to get there.
Mm-hmm. Moment to moment.
Yes.
Making sure that this moment doesn't go into the next moment.
Yes.
Yeah. That it just stays in that moment. That the grace is in that moment. And the grace in that you are no longer defined by the past moment. Right?
Right.
Yeah. Thank you so much.